Hello, everyone. I am Nora Armani, and this is our, I don't know, I lost count, one of our Meet the Filmmakers live broadcasts that we do 3 times a week leading up to the Socially Relevant Film Festival's 10th annual edition coming up March 16. So every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 1:30 p.m., you can go to our YouTube channel, which is simultaneously broadcast on our Facebook page, and you can hear out the filmmakers assembled in that particular session. Today, we have a group of filmmakers who are screening their films at Cinema Village over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, March 17, 18, and 19. We're going to hear their wonderful stories, how the films came about, what they are about, what are their next projects, and all that. But before we go there, let me tell you some things about the festival. Here is our website where you can see everything that's going on during the week, or it's an extended week, basically, from Thursday to Thursday. From the 16th to the 23rd. These are all the in-person events, which also have some happy hours for the filmmakers, as I was just discussing, and a workshop on smartphone filmmaking. Also, a lot of screenings, Q&As, panels, hip hop music, jazz, you name it, we've got it. And then on the 24th, most of the films, with the exception of 2 or 3, go online to make it available to audiences who are not in New York. So there we go. I will say more about the festival as we go along. So right now, let me bring on the filmmakers. I think we have one more person, yes, who just
Hello.
joined us. Budi Sphere from Lebanon.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So I'm going
Thank
to,
you for having us.
yeah, thank you for joining in. So let me get rid of these banners and also put the name of your film here. Tanash. There you go. Okie dokie. So fine. So let's just jump in and go in the circle quickly. We'll start with Jamie and tell us about yourself, your film, what it is about briefly, and then we're going to come back and do some more in-depth discussion.
Great. Hey, my name is Jamie Andrews. My film is Division. I was the writer, executive producer, and one of the lead actors. We like to call it a romantic tragic comedy. It's set in the South with the backdrop of pre-election 2020. So we're so happy to be with Socially Relevant Festival because it is that.
Yep. Ilan?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ilan Lieberman. I'm presenting Beno's son, or Beno's son, because it has a double meaning. And in Spanish, son is a genre, a musical, folk musical genre. And I'm also Beno's son, which is, the story is basically I would call it a family road movie, but also musical and emotional. It's the story of my father, who was ethnomusicologist, and I travel with my family, and we discover who was my father, who was a grandfather of my children.
Nice. Simone.
Hi, my name is Simone Brioni. I'm a filmmaker and the writer of Maka, and I also teach cinema and migration literature at Stony Brook University. Maka is the story of Geneviève Makaping, who is the first Black journalist who directed a newspaper in Italy. And she wrote the first book of critical race studies in Italian, and this book was also recently published in English. So this story is a biographic film about this amazing anthropologist, writer, and journalist.
Nice. And Andy.
Hi there, my name is Andy Ames. I've made a documentary called Only Child, and it's about an Irish woman who was adopted out of England, raised in India, and tried to find her birth parents, and spent 20 years with only her mother's name and town of birth in hand, trying to go throughout Ireland, trying to find her birth mother.
Wow. That is some fascinating story. I'm going to tell more about that backdrop story, but we'll come to it later. Budi, we're so happy to have you here. Last time we missed you.
Thank you for having me. Actually, I'm filming right now, and last time I forgot. I tried to join in the morning, but it was like a different time zone. It was a mistake. Anyway, my name is Budi Sfer. I'm from Lebanon. My movie Tnash, it means in English 12. It's about 12 jury members who are trying to make a decision about a guy, a Syrian refugee who committed a crime. If he was accused of this crime, and they will take a decision. It's about 12 men and women from different sectarian, in Lebanon we have this kind of stuff, and they will need to make a unified decision about this guy, and it will go for a debate, and you'll have to watch it and enjoy it then.
Okay, so my first question to everybody, and then anybody who wants to jump in can. How did the idea of this film come to you? Or was it something you developed over a long time? Or is it a spur of the moment decision? And how long did it take you from actually getting it from idea or script in case of narratives to actually happening, to making it happen on the screen? Who wants to go? Jamie, yes.
Well, Division came from many disparate ideas that I'd been trying to put together in what would have been a large budget film. And then when political chaos and societal chaos was going on in the country the summer of 2020, I realized the story elements I already had would be great set in that scenario, and that I could write it to be shot in my house on my block. This will look familiar to those who see the movie. So I was very fortunate to have a good friend, David, who's a producer and also an actor in the film. I had a great friend, Jason, who's our wonderful director, who unfortunately can't make it. David handed it to Jason. Everyone was like, let's make this happen. Everyone did it, for less than what they're worth. We had this incredible team that really believed in getting it done. So it was finished writing in November 2020, and we went into production in April.
Wow.
Yeah, because we knew we couldn't wait because it's so timely. And unfortunately, with the right wing being as strong as ever, it's not getting any less socially relevant.
Yeah, it's important to, I've been noticing this question when it comes up, a lot of the answers is like, it ranges. Some filmmakers have spent 8 years, 10 years diligently trying to raise money for their films. And then in the end, I'm going like, I could have given up a long time ago. I mean, this is really amazing that they stuck around and they made it happen. And then in other situations, it's a situation where you have to grab the opportunity. And those are fantastic as well. All right. Who else wants to share? How did the
Well,
idea come about? Yep.
I would like to. This idea is one of the type that you mentioned, because I worked on it for 7 years. I started after doing a project in the mountain range in Mexico, and I didn't mention this, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but my father committed suicide in 1985. And so there was this need of telling the story. And he had also recorded all this music, which I mentioned. He recorded lots of music all over Mexico, especially the genre called son. And so at that point, when I was finishing another project, which was also a sort of a documentary, I decided that it was time to start this project. And the first part of it was getting together all the recordings and going to the National Archive and digitalizing all the music and doing all that. And simultaneously, I started doing interviews, and little by little, I started also to develop the script. And then I got a friend of mine, a producer. He said, "I'll produce it for you." And then we got an incredible photographer and an incredible sound technician, and everybody was very, very enthusiastic about the project. And so little by little it developed, and we finished. We did the actual, or let's say the most part of the filming during the pandemic. So you can see in the film that some people are still wearing masks and some aren't, but that's how it came about.
Very interesting. So one of those resilience, and especially if you're dealing with a lot of archival material, I've been noticing that all the films, especially documentaries, where there is a reliance on a lot of research and a lot of archival material, you can't do it in 1 week, or you can, it has to take its time. So it's really amazing. Right. Who else? Yes, Simone.
So the story of this film begins really in 2009, which was the first time when I read Reversing the Gaze, the book by Geneviève Maka, in which she applies an anthropological method to look at how Italians looked at her as one of the few Black persons in Italy. The book actually was published in 2001. And I found this book incredibly fascinating, and I also, and the idea to turn it into a movie was also intellectually very, challenging, because how can you represent the violence of the gaze, the ways in which we look and how we shape reality in a particular, by looking at things from our perspective as white persons or Black persons. In 2009, I made 2 movies about Italian Black intellectuals with producer Graziano Chiscuzzo and Ermanno Guida. And we wanted to make another film. And 6 years ago, I started to write this movie. I received a grant from my university, which covered part of the costs. And then 2 years ago, we decided to contact a director to actually direct this film, director Elia Mutamid. The writing of this film went somehow hand in hand with the new edition and the editing of Makapin's book into English. So it was, also we also try to we had to work a lot also on the language that we used, because translating terms that refers to race in Italian and in English, of course they are there are huge differences, and so we also have to think about not only the way to represent the story, but also to think about language. This is more or less the story of the film, how the film came to be, the making of the film also went hand in hand with some academic reflections about the making of the film itself, because I have recorded this is of course a project that begins from my studies on migration literature and cinema, migration cultures, and so somehow the theoretical reflections about the making of this film, the writing of the film went all hand in hand. We hope that this film also, changes the perception of migrants in Italy. 5 days ago, there was a huge tragedy, unfortunately, one of the many tragedies in the Mediterranean Sea. And, in Italy now, there is also a new fascist government. So we hope that this film can contribute to kind of rethink the ways in which migrants are seen.
Wow, yeah, it's a very important film, and it's doing the closing of our film festival, I must say. So the good point about these talks is that everybody learns about everybody else's film, and hopefully there will be an opportunity for you to see each other's films and communicate that way as well. I have already said it in several emails, but the filmmaker gets a badge which allows them to come and see anything and everything they want. So, yeah. We have Julia who has joined us, but I will let you in a second after we have done this round. So, Andy or
Okay.
Budi, who wants to go first? Yeah.
Can I go first, please? Because I need to go back to my to my set. I need to excuse
Okay.
myself in a bit.
All right. Sorry, Andy. So,
That's okay.
Sorry, Andy. Nash, it's about the idea came when after the Beirut blast, the port blast. It was in the news. We had a huge blast in Beirut, and many filmmakers tried to express this anger with filmmaking and by writing scripts. I waited a bit, and then I came up with an idea that unify Lebanese, because many things that what happened is because the Lebanese people are letting these corrupted politicians to go without making them take this responsibility of what happened. So now it's about after this blast, they made some juridical reforms, and we introduced this jury system in Lebanon, and 12 Lebanese citizens are now asked to make a unified decision, which they have never made in all their life. And with my friend, a guy called Asdashir, and the co-writer Patrick Shmeli, we took this challenge to write this script and to go. The next challenge was that we shoot it in. The shoot was for only 3 days, so that was a big challenge, because it was during Corona time, and there's a big crisis, financial crisis happening in Beirut, in Lebanon. So that's in all what happened with us in Tnash, and hopefully you will enjoy it, because it took with us a lot of time to produce and to make it happen during the crisis in our country.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. And the allegory is interesting because, like, whoever is familiar with the situation in Lebanon, there are so many, it's tiny country, but in the tiny country, there are so many different divisions, and each division
True.
has its own voice, and each voice is different from the others. So when you put a jury together that is supposed to be representative of everyone,
Of
already,
everyone, indeed.
yeah, and already a jury has a hard time coming to a decision, even if they are all from the same place. So let alone when each one has its own political agenda. So it's kind of a very interesting film, and it is doing our opening night after Shabu, which she was supposed to be here, but we can't have her. But Shamira Rafaela is coming to the festival, so whoever is there will see her. So, Budi, sorry, we're going to have to miss you, but I'll catch
Thank
you
you. And
in.
nice to meet you all. And Nora, thank you. Thanks a lot for everything you are doing. It's really a big addition to all our work and representing all what we are suffering to produce such
Yeah.
art. Thank you.
Actually, in 2021, we on the first anniversary of the explosion, we did a full program that was only on Lebanese films. It was
Thank
called
you.
Unbroken: Memory and Identity in Lebanese Cinema. And we put together a whole program of Lebanese films, and it was very, very well received. So I'll
Thank you
see you.
very much. Much
Uh,
appreciated. Thank you.
yeah, I'll see you in July in Beirut.
Hopefully we'll have the chance to meet you in person. Thank you.
I hope so. So we'll introduce Julia, but we'll have Andy tell us about his film first. Julia, can you put your film title in your next to your name like everyone else has? Right.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
First.
So, Andy, tell us about how the idea came to you. And was it something over a long period of time? Was it somebody you knew was in that situation? Or,
All of the above. So it started off that the protagonist Maurice is her name in our story. When she was in her journey, somebody in Ireland contacted my wife. My wife went over to meet her, and I asked, "Could I just film this? Is kind of interesting. Can I film this to show other people back here in Toronto?" And she said yes. So I went in and I started talking to her, and I started discovering what Ireland was basically a very hostile environment for single women that have given birth and the children. And I started hearing that it was epidemic in Ireland, that children were basically taken away and shipped overseas and largely adopted in America. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a bit of a bigger movie. And then I just kept meeting more and more interesting characters. And it's taken 8 years. But
wow. Well, this is very interesting. I have two comments here that are very, very important. Only Child is one of the Canadian films that comes to us. And we have a partnership with Telefilm Canada and also with the Canadian Consulate General in New York. And we have been doing a program since last year called Voices of Canada. And this film is part of the Voices of Canada series. But on a personal point, friend of my husband's, a school friend who's Irish, of Irish extraction, um, shared a similar story that happened to his sister. And funnily enough, like strangely enough, like not funny, haha, but funny, strange, um, he has a niece now because this girl that was born out of a similar situation and was sent away, and her sister was made to give up the child who was put into adoption, and so on and so forth. And years passed, she forgot about it, went on with her life. I don't think she ever forgot about it, but she went on with her life. And years later, completely unexpectedly, this child found her. So my my husband's friend now has a niece, suddenly a grown up niece, and I was hoping that they would come but to the movie. He said he would, but since it's on St. Patrick's Day, they have plans, and he might be able to come and not be able. We had, we were torn between, do we put this film on the 17th or not? But then we figured, okay, we don't have much choice because we don't have too many days, and fine, it's the people who will go to a bar and get drunk on St. Patrick's Day are not the same people who are going to come and see a serious documentary about Ireland. So
You're probably right, but it is early, so they
yeah,
still can go to the bar.
exactly. It's early, so they can come and see the film and then go to the pub. So, and continue the following day. So
Right.
that's fine. Right, Julia. So tell us about your film in a nutshell. We did the quick round, so we won't tell you to be brief, but the questions will be 2 in 1. Tell us about your film. What is the idea about it, and how did it come to you? And how long did it take you to put it together?
Okay, I'm sorry for the delay anyway. My movie is it's a documentary, and it's about this virtual relationship that I had with 4 young hikikomori that are these boys and girls, mostly boys, who lives in their houses and don't leave never their homes, neither their rooms sometimes. And actually I was entertaining all my relationships via internet and Wi-Fi and mobiles, and my boyfriend was living far away from me, and my parents too. And so I think I started discovering this social niche, and I was curious about them. And then they quite involved me in their world, and I felt that I need to participate to the movie too. So you will see this, but it took me like 5 years doing this, and there was COVID in meantime, so it was more complicated because for them the world didn't change so much, but for us yes. So it was complicated to match the two things together, and that's it for now.
Yeah, so
But,
they were the whole world, when the whole world went into lockdown, nothing changed from their lives because that's how they were living to start with.
Yeah, actually they felt more quieter, and they felt less because some of them don't go out for anxiety or pressure of the society, and so they felt quite more confident, while all the people were living like them. So it was less complicated for them to live in this kind of situation than for us, of course.
It's a very unusual topic. And when we first saw that, I was like, wow, this is interesting. And I keep saying, like I have also said it in other of the talks with the Meet Filmmakers talks, that this film festival that I founded and I'm running for the past 10 years, not alone, of course. We have a team, and this team is amazing. And I have to thank them every time, because this is not the work of one person. There's no way one person can put together a film festival and last for 10 years. So we have a team of people who diligently view the films, recommend the films and all that. And it's very interesting because you come to topics that we have never heard about. And it's such an amazing learning experience. You learn so much from every single film that comes our way, whether it's documentary or narrative, doesn't matter. Both have a lot of educational value. And first of all, I feel like, oh my God, I am learning so much. I can write a book about all this, except when I find the time. If I'm not doing the festival next year, then maybe I'll write a book. But I can't. I have to do the festival. So, so maybe we should. Next question is: how did you come to the festival? How did you find out about us? And what made you decide to submit to our film festival? Who wants to jump at it?
Should we keep the clockwise?
Well, it's up to you. We're like in school. Yes. Okay. Next.
Well, before we were done with post-production, I was looking on Film Freeway for festivals, and I think you were promoted as a festival, and I was like, oh, socially relevant. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect fit for us. Because, you know, we are a romantic comedy, but we're not. We're a thriller, but we're not. We're a horror, but we're not. So this seemed like such a great fit for us, and we weren't going to be done in time. So I was like, drat. But as soon as you came around this year, and I was pretty much, because we got distribution, I was pretty much done with the festival circuit. I'm like, I have to go into that one. I have to try.
That's good to know that you already have distribution, because some of the films that come to us end up getting distribution thanks to our industry partners. We have some industry partners who have been supportive of the festival from day one, like Cinema Libre Studio in Burbank, in Los Angeles area, and also IndiePix, which is a local New York-based organization, but they are international and all over. And these partners encourage a lot the films that come to us and offer them distribution possibilities and awards. Like, for example, IndiePix is giving out the Vision Award, which is going to be announced on closing night. It's not Division.
Okay. I had a feeling.
The Vision Award.
Vision. Okay, sorry.
Vision Award, which they give to a film, and that film has the choice of going into distribution with them. So this is really cool. And also, any film that is picked by the festival and the official selection automatically qualifies for their primetime channel, IndiePix primetime channel. So it's really a fantastic deal. We also have other industry partners like Inktip, like ISA, who offer filmmakers memberships free of charge. For example, with the script competition, ISA has just okayed to give out free memberships for the winning or the finalist filmmakers, and so on and so forth. So it's really a nice opportunity. But most of all, it's a good opportunity to network, learn about each other's work, and hopefully help each other in the future. Right. Who else?
Well, if it's going the same way, so I also saw it in Film Freeway. I was looking at different festivals, and I saw this one, and it really stood out because it's not only the name, obviously, but what the mission of the festival. And I thought that this was really going to be a good place to send the film. And so I'm really happy that you accepted it and that we're going to present it.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's such a hard job doing the selection process that we do, because we have so many submissions, and then they're all amazing films. A lot of very, very good films come our way. And unfortunately, we don't have the means of, showing everything in person, or even online. We don't have the possibility, because we purchase time on our streaming platform to show everything we would like to show. So often I say, it's not about what are we selecting to screen. It's like, what are we going to leave out? How can we leave out this, or how can we leave out that, So it becomes a very difficult decision. And obviously, I'm not alone. We have a team of people who view these films and then they decide yes, no, maybe. They don't off the bat decide the selection, but they categorize them into groups of yeses, no's. The no's are either because the production values are bad, the acting is horrible, or the idea was good, but it didn't make the transition properly, or it's completely off. Like, it's about gunfights and explosions and things that we are completely not into. So those, of course, first and foremost, go out of the picture. And then we focus on the films that are yeses. We don't throw away the maybes yet. We throw away the no's. We focus on the yeses, and we let the films tell us their story. What I mean by that is that we do not decide ahead of time what themes we are going to focus on, but we let the themes float to the surface, and that forms the given year's program. Right. Who's next?
Okay,
Simone.
Okay, so actually Elia Mutamid, the director of the film, presented Talien in 2018 at the Socially Relevant Film Festival. So we already knew about the festival, and since the very beginning we were, somehow already thinking about this festival as, one of our target festivals. And I think usually with films, you want to categorize them. Many festivals, they want to categorize them. And I think the idea of socially relevant, it fits perfectly our film, because it is a hybrid. No, it has definitely an academic and educational component, but also, we worked with the film industry. We're going to show it in movie theaters, in universities, where both Maka and myself work. And somehow it combines archival material, interview, a meta-cinematic element, reflections about the making of the film by the authorial voice, by an authorial voice, which is interpreted by the director. And so I think there are, we hope that, this hybrid, it's of course a limitation in terms of, perhaps fitting this movie into a traditional genre, but we hope there is also an opportunity for the film to circulate in different, in different circuits.
Yeah, that's why initially when we started this film festival, I was wanting to do something that focused on nonviolence, or let's say films that focus more on human interest stories, because I was sick and tired of seeing all the violent posters with the guns and the violence and all those things happening around us. Plus, a personal story happened with my cousin and my uncle being stabbed to death in a hate crime. And just as their 10th anniversary was approaching in 2014, I wanted to commemorate them in a meaningful way. So this idea came to me, this idea of the Socially Relevant Film Festival, which originally was about nonviolence, but then I figured it a bit limiting. It limits us. So it might be better to open it to include all sorts of social issues. And since we have started, many other film festivals have come up that also focus on social issues with different names. Of course, they can't call it socially relevant because we have the trademark on that. But, and we didn't want to limit it to any particular theme. There is, for example, there are film festivals that are focused on climate change, others on women, and others on LGBTQ, or, so we said, no, we're not going to decide one or the other. So let's just open it, and every year we focus on whatever the filmmakers want to tell. So, Andy, since we're going in a row.
I too was very happy when my producer Nat came across your festival, because what started out as a surface film of a human interest story started really peeling away the layers of the Irish onion, if it were, of basically Ireland they're increasing human rights because it was a very oppressed society. No gay rights, women had no rights whatsoever, and now it's gone the other way, where an awful lot of the world seems to be going backwards into the way Ireland used to be. And so I just thought this is a story that needs to get out there so people can see this is how. Do you want to go there? I don't think so. And also, 2 generations of women literally think they're going to hell because they had kids out of wedlock.
Very interesting, very important topic. And yeah, you're talking about Ireland, but the United States is not very far off. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I was at the opening of the Athena Film Festival, of which we are a partner. And I ran into this lady who I had been seeing a lot in the circuits. She's from Florida, and she was saying in Florida, the situation is so unbelievable. It's like Trump is still president or something. And the books, you go to the library, you want to check out those books, and oh no, those books are not in circulation. The banned books, the abortion situation, the women's, and it's like, wow, where are we now? What is this? What's going on? So absolutely, it's very, very important to talk about these topics and raise the red flags and draw attention to what's happening. Julia.
Yeah, actually, I found it on Film Freeway, but I was interested because I thought it was perfect for the movie, and I hoped it was selected. But maybe it's a simple way of thinking. But I started doing this. I started doing videos and cinema because I wanted to change the world in a real way and to speak to people about some topics that we don't know. So maybe it's quite close to what you were saying before, but I thought it was a good festival for this reason, because we can explore and discover new arguments and topics and the phenomena that we don't know, and to show our ones to the others. So I was interested for this reason mostly. The film maybe could have been good for this, and it showed it was. I hope, but it was for this reason that I really noted the festival as one of the on the top list that I wanted to propose to. But I was really interested for this reason, because we can really discover some topics that we don't know.
Yeah, it's that discovery is so important, and the dialogue that is established between the filmmakers and all that. And we also have another thing. So don't be surprised next year when you get an email from me asking you to be on the jury of the short films, because what we do is we go back to the filmmakers that were in the selection and invite them to serve on the jury of the short films. The jury of the narrative features and the documentaries are invited international guests. They can be people from the film industry or not. I also try to make it a bit wider, so because it's not only film people who go to see films, it has to be representative of everyone. And for the short films, we always like to include the filmmakers from previous years. So you won't be left off the hook very easily. So don't think so. All right. So next question is, who wants to talk about what their plans are next? It could be about the same film and taking it further into promotion or distribution, or it could also be about another topic, another new project that you may be developing. Who wants to? Yeah.
I mean, why stop now? Well, we are available on several platforms on March 7th. I'm so excited that my friends and family in New York will have this opportunity to see it on the big screen, though. I have a short that I'd like to make shortly. I have 2 other feature scripts, one of which I think could be done low budget. The other one, someone's going to have to come in and help. And I wrote a memoir. My tumultuous childhood is brought up in the film, and I wrote a book about it a long time ago, but I was scared to put it out because it's scandalous. So that's going to be coming out later this year.
Wow, that is so nice because it's multifaceted. It's not only film, but also writing, which can later translate into film.
Yes, one of the scripts is a film based, the expensive one is based on that.
The memoir. Yeah. Yeah. And who else? What else is happening that is new coming up?
Well, if we are continuing with the order, well, I'm a visual artist. I didn't mention this, and this is my first film, so now I'm very interested in promoting the film and going to festivals. We already have distribution in Mexico, but finding distribution elsewhere. And I have a painting project which I'm doing, so it's abstract, so abstract painting, and that's mainly what I'm focusing on. And I also teach, so I teach at the Art Academy here. So those are basically what the projects I'm working on.
That's great. Yeah. Teaching is wonderful because you pass on some knowledge to the next generation. Right. Simone.
Okay. So while I was working on Maka, I came across a box of colonial photographs made by a distant relative of mine. And this, and basically had to, I actually wrote about Italian colonialism for most part of my life. And it was ironic that I didn't know about these photographs. And so I started developing another film, which will come out later this year. And it's all about colonial photography. To some extent, it continues the reflections that were developed in Maka, but from another perspective. In this case, is the gaze of the camera looking at colonized people and looking at Eastern Africa. So that's the other project that I have developed. Actually, was developed during lockdown. We were stuck in a small village in Italy. We couldn't leave because of lockdown. I was on sabbatical, and this somehow made me interested in this story, and I was able actually to interview a few people who actually had a distant relative, went also to the colonies, etc., and so to discover this story. And then there is another project, which is a long-term project, I guess. I would like to work on Italian migrants in the US, and in particular, writer Pietro Di Donato was an amazing Italian-American writer, activist, and Fasanella, Ralph Fasanella was a painter and also a trade unionist and writer. So I just want to discover stories of migrants, but who came to the US.
That is very interesting. I read a book long time ago, Vita. Have you heard about it?
Yeah. Melania Mazzucco. Yeah.
What a beautiful story. I loved it. It's about Italian immigrants at the beginning of the 20th century who come to the United States, basically, of 2 cousins. And it was strange because families were torn apart at that time. the whole family didn't necessarily come together. One person picked up and went, and then the child of another was sent to be with the uncle. And it was like a very, very difficult time. And the lives they led. And then the first half of the book is about their lives in the United States. And then we jump into the 60s, and we go back to Rome and what happens, and how one person has become hardened and the other person is like, wow, it was amazing, beautiful, beautiful. And documentaries of this kind would be very important, because we know very little about the different migrant communities. We know, oh, Little Italy, oh, this, oh, that, about the food and all that. But there are lives behind all this, real people and real lives. So very important work. Right. Andy.
Well, basically, I'm a commercial editor, so I'll get back to editing. But two people recently, upon seeing my film, have come to me with their manuscripts, asking me to turn them into movies. And so I'll read them and consider it, because I do like this filmmaking thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, an editor is also a storyteller, especially when you are talking about documentary films. A lot of documentary films are made in the editing room. You cannot set out with a script or storyboard and say, oh, okay, I'm going to shoot this and shoot that. You have to leave yourself open to whatever comes your way, even if you have a certain line of the story that you are going after. And that's where the editor's job comes. How to string all that tons of images together and make sense out of it. So you've already done your apprenticeship of
right.
Years.
Yeah, this film literally was cut 5 different ways. I tried a myriad of different ways of telling the story.
Wow. So, Julia.
Well, I will continue to try to promote this movie for sure. Then I'm editor too. That's the reason, which is the reason of my delay for this evening. So I will continue editing too. And then I should start to write the first short fiction movie that I never did. I never did fiction, actually, because I did video art at the beginning and then documentaries. So it will be my first time, and that's the reason why I'm continuing procrastinating the start of writing. But I should start, because I have this idea since like 1.5 years. So I should start. And it's a short movie about live action and animation, just to make things more complicated. But I should start. I think this festival will give me the push that I need to feel the soul, about knowing people and the things that we need for doing this kind of work, I think.
Yeah, it's very, very important, because everybody, whether you're writing or you're editing, it's a very lonely situation. You're sitting alone with the material, or you're sitting alone in front of your computer, putting words on a page or a screen or whatever. And sometimes it gets lonely, and you can't ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? Who's going to see this? What's the point? I'm wasting my time. Maybe I should go and swim in the lake or something, whatever, instead. But then you see other people, you communicate with them, the passion that people give you is contagious. And I think it fuels us all. So we don't only learn from each other, we also get inspired from each other and become energized and want to go back and do some more of what it is that we are doing. Let me take a commercial break here and tell our audience and everybody else who's going to be watching this tape later that we have early bird $7 tickets and $100 all access passes, which is an amazing deal because just the opening night VIP ticket, which gets you to the red carpet, the award ceremonies, and then also the first and second films alone are $50. So already that part takes care of that. And then with the rest of the $50, you have a chance to see anything and everything that is on offer, including closing night. So this is really cool. And the early bird $7 individual tickets get you to any film of your choice. And we have extended those until March 7th. So you still have some time to go on that. And everything, all the information can be found on ratedsrfilms.org. On the 24th, after the in-person section of the festival terminates there, and we give out the awards and everything, the films go online and it's possible to stream them from all over the world, except maybe one or two films that have asked to be restricted to the United States, but everything else will be available. So, who wants to add last minute words? We have 5 more minutes, and that's plenty of time in broadcast language.
Reverse. Let's switch.
Yes,
Let's switch it up.
first, we'll start with Julia and go. We are so happy that you're coming. I'm so glad, Julia. So you'll be bringing the DCP with you, right? But it's going to have to be taken to the cinema right away for them to test it.
Yes, I will arrive the 15th, and I will come directly to the cinema to verify it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm astonished that I will be there. So it will be amazing. I'm sure.
It's really
for sure.
good when the filmmakers are there. Unfortunately, we are not yet at that stage where we can offer airline and I put out an ad everywhere where I could, asking for host families for the filmmakers, and I've had a couple of responses, but we're still figuring out the rest. But we'll do whatever we can. So, who wants to tell us anything that they want to tell us? A secret that you haven't told anyone yet, but the whole world will hear about it.
Well, I didn't mention this, but I discovered a half sister in this journey I led to search for my father, and I met her. I went to see her. And when I saw her, she's, identical, and she also appears, she has a specific special chapter in the film. And
yes. So funnily enough, this year, the theme of family and adoption came out a lot. Like the short films that are playing on Friday at the first opening block is called Family and Adoption. And there were so many adoption related films, we had to leave out a few, we couldn't show everything. And in both of yours, it's okay, Ilan's is not really adoption, but it's the family and the sibling and the finding a sibling at a certain age that you didn't know about and didn't know existed. And, and Andy's film, it's all about that. And really very, very nice program. Who put it together? I don't know. So, yes, tell me more. Who wants to go? We have 2 more minutes. And we have some audience members who are a bit shy today because usually we get questions from the audience. Nobody is asking questions today, but they are listening.
Well, I'm the last movie of the night on the 18th, so drinks at the Reservoir around the block.
Yeah, and we tweaked around the times a bit to make it a little earlier. Because,
my mom appreciated that.
Yes, initially it was 9:30, which is not a bad time for a weekend night in New York. So
yeah,
fine. But now it's 9:15. So there's more time for the reservoir, and the reservoir closes at 4 a.m., by the way, or something like that. Or
I won't be there that long.
I think they used to close at 4, and since the pandemic, they've been closing at 2. But even so, you have plenty of time for plenty of drinks. Right. Who else wants to say something?
Is everybody here going to be at the opening night?
I hope so. Are you guys going to be there on the 16th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a bunch
No,
of
sorry.
Good.
organized. So we're going to have the red carpet at 5:30. We don't have much time on the red carpet, unfortunately, because we have to start the ceremonies at 6 o'clock sharp. And we have some very important honor awardees. We are waiting for confirmation on a couple of them, so I'm not going to say the names, but we will talk about them shortly. And these are people who have done so much with their work in promoting women and women's position in the film industry, or promoting empowering women and children, and girls. And also, it's named after my cousin who lost her life in that hate crime. So it's really quite an amazing opportunity to see these people being honored. And also, a few years ago, we started the tradition of introducing the filmmakers who are in the audience. Last year, all the filmmakers came on stage and they took a bow together. So it was like the whole line from beginning to end. And we hope to do the same thing this year. So there we go. So I'll see you all. It's not, if anybody's wondering what to wear, we are not the kind of Oscar red carpet. So we're not going to ask questions, who are you wearing or anything like that, because we couldn't care less. It's more, it's more about, who you are, not who are you are wearing. Yeah.
That's good.
Still dressing up.
Great.
Yeah.
Good to know also. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to end the official broadcast, but we can continue to chat a bit because it's 2:31. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and please
Thank
come.
you.
And this is the festival information. And when you go on the website, you'll find everything under the drop-down menu from SRFF 2023. We're going to change that, maybe make it a little bit more user-friendly, but everything you need is there. If you look a little bit, you'll find it. So there we go. End of broadcast.